I'm Sudeep Jha. I'm here in the physics faculty of School of Sciences of Indira Gandhi National Open University. I'm in this system since last 30 plus years, and as you may be aware, IGNOU is a pioneer national open university in the field of open and distance learning. Now, why multidisciplinary higher education is needed? Now, the most important reason for making our undergraduate programs multidisciplinary is that job markets now don't require people who are specialized in a single area of study or discipline. They want people to have a multiple skills simultaneously when they come out as a graduate. Secondly, this straitjacketing and narrowing down our undergraduate programs quite early into arts, science and commerce, they say that let us break this barrier and give the option to students to pick up courses as per their interest from a basket of courses which will consist of courses from arts, humanities, social sciences and commerce. So that liberty can be given, and this multidisciplinarity actually, as Professor Pandey said, that now the emerging knowledge is being created at the interface of two or more disciplines. Pure disciplines research is of course there, but the societal demand is such that two or more disciplines have to work together to solve the emerging problems of the society. And the outcome of such interaction, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary higher education, in the past is the evolving disciplines like women studies, gender and development, energy studies. For example, being a person from science background, I can say that energy studies is evolving into a new area where people from background of mathematics, chemistry, physics, engineering, they all come together, sit together and identify a problem, and they all come with their own skill sets and knowledge base. So that kind of an interaction has given rise to new disciplines like energy studies, public policy, Asian studies, Canadian studies, etc. So the whole idea is that the higher education should be essentially aimed toward solving the problems of the society rather than just for the sake of acquiring knowledge in itself. So with this objective in mind, the NEP puts a very high priority to multidisciplinary higher education. Now the point here is, as a teacher you will know that okay, that's fine, I do agree, I accept the arguments in favor of making our higher education multidisciplinary. Then next question will be, what will be the implication of making our higher education multidisciplinary? Now there are implications on various fronts. First is the institutional implication. As I mentioned, that institutional implications is that universities and colleges have to become multidisciplinary rather than unitary. What is the implication for a teacher? For a teacher, the implication is that you have to sit down in the committee in a group of teachers comprising faculty from all disciplines, and then look at the curriculum of our undergraduate programs, how it can be made more multidisciplinary in the sense that how our students will have many options to pick up courses from any discipline he or she likes. Of course, the overall structure, it's not free for all. Overall structure will be there, which we expect any time very soon from UGC, but within that overall structure, the student will have freedom, and institutions should be in a position to provide that opportunity to students so that they can pick up courses of their choice. So that is the implication for a teacher. And third implication is for the policymakers and funding agencies, that how to streamline the funding for research so that colleges are also encouraged to take up projects and do meaningful research in their respective area as well as in the areas of interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary disciplines. And another important aspect of NEP 2020 is that they are saying that if someone is getting into undergraduate program for 4 years, then and for some reason, or good or bad, for some reason he or she wants to quit after completing, let's say, 1 year or 2 years. So will it not be prudent to give them certification for the effort they have made during those 1 year, that is 2 semesters or 2 years? So that basic genesis has given rise to the idea of multiple entry and multiple exit in the new 4-year undergraduate program proposed in the NEP. So at the end of the lecture, I will touch upon this aspect also, what are its implications for a teacher, for institution and for students. Now, what are the different, once you think of an undergraduate program, so what are the components which NEP proposes should be a part of undergraduate program? I will again focus on the undergraduate program. So these are the major components of any undergraduate curriculum which NEP thinks that universities should think and work out a structure for their undergraduate program. First is nature and type of courses. You can see that first is the traditional discipline-specific courses. Now, discipline-specific courses have been further categorized. I will come to that later. Another is the vocational and skill courses. On the right-hand column, you will see that whatever may be the credit. Creditization is another aspect of NEP, which was earlier available only with professional universities. IGNOU is an exception. IGNOU as an university started this credit system way back since its inception. So I will come to that also later. But whatever the total credit is for the entire undergraduate program, 50% of roughly, these are all rough estimates, but these numbers will give you an idea that what it takes to make your undergraduate program multidisciplinary and holistic. 50% weightage goes to our traditional discipline-specific courses. 16 credit worth of vocational and skill courses is a compulsory requirement for any undergraduate program. Third category and component of this new multidisciplinary holistic undergraduate program is life skill courses, environmental studies, value-based courses and global citizenship education. So this is a new component which was earlier missing from the structure of most of the undergraduate programs in our country across the universities. Fourth component is field projects, internship and apprenticeship that is aimed towards two objectives. One is that they want that undergraduates should get an experience and live in feel of the workplace that will come through internship and apprenticeship as well as with the society. As on date, by structure, no undergraduate program envisages except for say bachelors in social work, where they have this component as a compulsory component for students to visit the sites and society. But now the NEP requests the higher education institution to make it a compulsory component so that our undergraduates are exposed to the field of work where they will enter in the future, as well as they have some feel for the society, particularly with massive urbanization across the country. Our large segment of student population at undergraduate level have no exposure to the actual hinterland of our country. So that can be incorporated, that must be incorporated by way of field project, irrespective of the fact that the student is pursuing science, arts or commerce or social work. It's not necessary that field work for a science student has to be related to that. That leeway will be given. The intent of this component I have explained just now. And fourth is, of course, if you are planning to have a 4-year undergraduate program, this 4-year undergraduate program incidentally has an exit after 3 years. That I will discuss at the level when I discuss multiple entry and exit. So in the nutshell, these are the 5 major components of holistic and multidisciplinary interdisciplinary undergraduate program as it has been envisaged in the NEP 2020. As a follow-up to NEP 2020 policy document, there had been certain draft documents from UGC. So this listing I have culled out from those draft documents. The final document is still awaited. I hope it should come very soon. But these major components are the NEP vision, which has been translated into a kind of a document for discussion among teachers and higher education policy makers. So the next is what is the typical structure? And now this slide is important because what they say that don't ask students to decide on what disciplines they want to study on the very first day of their admission, right? What they say that let first 3 semesters be an open house kind of a thing. Let students study courses from different disciplines and different areas, and let them have exposure to certain compulsory courses in humanities and social sciences and sciences, some basic courses on mathematical and computational thinking analysis, creative expressions, vocational education. Now once they are done with this, and at the end of 3 semesters, that is 1.5 years, then ask them that what are the disciplines you liked, you feel more comfortable about, and you would like to major in a discipline. So see, here the flexibility and the choice to the student is huge. Once he or she has spent 3 years, 1.5 years, sorry, with the institution, then only he or she has to make up his or her mind that what disciplines now they will like to study in detail, meaning thereby they will like to have more credits in that discipline. And that comes at the stage of 4th, 5th and 6th semester. After 6th semester, they can exit with a graduate degree, and if they have certain achievements in terms of performance, then they will be allowed to pursue 4th year, which will be quite research oriented, and they can go for 4-year undergraduate program with research as well as honors. So honors and research degrees will not be open to one and all, depending upon your performance in the past 6 semesters. You will be either allowed or given an honorable exit with an undergraduate degree in your hand with minor and major disciplines. Now, these are little complex nomenclature they have adopted. It's just a matter of getting into those documents. I will refer to one document which is very good document, that is NEP 2020. It has come from UGC. You can refer to that document. It's available on UGC site. Another equally important document in the light of restructuring the curricula of 4-year undergraduate program in the light of NEP 2020 is National Higher Education Qualification Framework. This is another document from UGC. So these 2 documents are quite important, and they give you some feel about the thinking which is going on to translate the vision of NEP 2020 into a real concrete structure of 4-year undergraduate program. UGC is working on it. These are draft documents. I think you must, and the final will not be diametrically different from what is there in the draft. So you can refer to these documents. This will give you some idea. They have categorized the discipline-specific courses into 4 categories: discipline major core, discipline major elective, and then the interdisciplinary major core, interdisciplinary major elective, and discipline minor courses. So for a discipline, suppose you are a teacher of history or physics, then your concern here is that you will have to think in terms of having some major courses as per the credit requirement, and some minor courses from your discipline. And that will be for someone who is planning to study from 4th semester to 6th semesters and onwards your discipline. So that minimum number of credits, the courses are to be designed for getting into the 4-year undergraduate program structure. Now, IGNOU as an institution had these ideas way back, and our bachelor's degree program, and since IGNOU is a national open university and large number of state open universities have come after IGNOU came into being and it started its bachelor's degree program, the very name you will see that IGNOU did not start with BA, BCom, BSc. IGNOU started with bachelor's degree program. So the name itself indicates that we were conscious of the fact that students should be given more liberty, and apart from giving them basket of courses from various disciplines, two other important components of our bachelor's degree program was some foundation courses. Foundation courses essentially mean that compulsory courses, and in that category languages, foundation course in humanities and social sciences and science and technology. These were mandatory of all the three streams, whether they are going to pursue BA or BCom or BSc. So that notion of having some as it is envisaged in first 3 semesters in the previous slide I was discussing, IGNOU had this in the form of foundation courses. And third, regarding employability and skill training, we had this application oriented courses which was also compulsory. One has to take at least certain credits, whether he or she is pursuing BA, BCom or BSc, from a basket of application-oriented courses. And these application-oriented courses were coming from different schools. See, the IGNOU was in a advantageous position because as on date we have around 21 schools of studies in the same campus, but even when we started we had around 11-12 schools of studies on the campus. So these basket of courses in application-oriented courses as well as development of foundation courses, it was not the outcome of a single school. Foundation courses were developed with the interaction and coming together of teachers from different schools. Similarly, application-oriented courses, it was a basket in which different schools gave courses, and they were open and available to all students of BA, BCom and BSc. So the very name gives you an idea that this whole idea of giving choices and giving multidisciplinary undergraduate program to students in a limited way, because there's life skills and field internship, those were not the compulsory components in our earlier BDP program, but it was definitely one step closer to what has been envisioned in our NEP 2020. Now, what was this again bachelor's degree program? The unique feature was that this was the first undergraduate program offered by a university which was credit based. Credit system, as you may be aware, in our country was essentially the domain of technical universities, primarily IITs and professional IIMs maybe. But IITs definitely yes. And in the university system, this credit system was first introduced by IGNOU way back in 1990. Now, with the coming of NEP, the entire undergraduate program across the university are credit based. In fact, this credit concept has come into university system of normal undergraduate program a few years back in 2014-15. When this choice-based credit system came into being, and undergraduate programs were designed accordingly. But in case of IGNOU, it was from day one our undergraduate program, and for that matter all our programs were credit-based. And in terms of giving choices to students, it was compulsory that a student has to study minimum 2 disciplines, and there was no bar as such, but they can study up to 4 disciplines. In terms of making our undergraduate holistic, we incorporated foundation courses, as I mentioned in the previous slide. For employability, it was addressed by making AOC compulsory for all students to take, and all open and distance learning programs are very flexible in terms of space and time. And formative assessment. Assessment is another important component. I think you will recall from Professor Pandey's graph, which says that understanding is very poor, but the pass percentage is high, and that constitutes almost 50% of our undergraduates. So that's a cause of concern on which teachers have to ponder that how to make assessment a true certification of the competence of the learner. So in that regard, making formative assessment an integral component of assessment was also initiated by IGNOU from its inception in undergraduate and all other programs offered by the university. Now CBCS, it came 2014. That was another major restructuring of undergraduate program. But it is just a comparative thing. Now that NEP is going to give us a new curricular structure for undergraduate program, there is no need of going into the details. CBCS is not going to last for very long unless we have, by the time this 4-year undergraduate program is in place. But speaking from IGNOU's point of view, we found that CBCS was quite restrictive compared to our earlier BDP program in terms of choice of courses, and then BA, BCom, BSc were treated differently. For BSc, CBCS expects that you have to study 3 disciplines. For BA, it was only 2 disciplines. Then generic courses is a little ambiguous. There is no clarity what what is intended to be achieved by generic courses. And for 3 years duration, you have honors program also, and BA, BCom, BSc General also with different credits. And skill courses have been there, but there is no clarity that what is the intent and how one should develop skill courses, what learning outcomes are expected of the skill courses. But that's besides the point, because CBCS is going to go very soon. Now, if you map the courses, then you say that you will find that our IGNOU's program, first 3 components were already there in one form or the other, but the last 2 components were not there, and therein lies the challenge for open and distance learning. All institutions, whether it is dual mode institution or exclusive open and distance learning institution, incorporating last 2 components of 4-year undergraduate program as envisaged in NEP is going to be a challenge. Why? Because ODL, by its very structure and nature, handles large numbers. And unlike conventional face-to-face teaching institution where there is a definition of teacher-student ratio, in ODL system, unfortunately, that definition is yet to come, because the core faculty is normally quite low, and we teach with the help of large group of teachers across the country in higher education system who work on our behalf as academic counselors. So the challenge is to incorporate these 2 4th and 5th component in the undergraduate program through ODL as per the NEP 2020. So these are the issues I will highlight for ODL institutions when they look for implementing the vision of NEP 2020 to make their programs multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. First is, of course, is a matter of details that can be handled. That's not a problem. The problem will be, for example, the enrollment in IGNOU undergraduate program, annual enrollment in IGNOU is roughly 12 lakhs. So out of those 12 lakhs, roughly 60 to 70% students are enrolled in our undergraduate programs. So for such a large number, how to organize field projects, internship and apprenticeship is going to be a challenge. ODL institution teachers have to ponder on this fact. And then next challenging thing is that with such a small core faculty, how are you going to go for a 4th year in bachelor's degree where you need to have a substantial component of research, which needs very close interaction between a student and a teacher to make it a meaningful research project or research training. Next challenge for ODL institutions is that what kind of collaboration they have to strike with different skill and vocational centers, because their students are quite widespread and the students are not coming to the campus where you can have vocational and skill training centers. So you have to work out some kind of a collaborative arrangement with industry and other agencies which are expert in giving skill and vocational training to give that component of undergraduate program to your students. Now, these are maybe this may become restrictive issues when you go to your main mandate of reaching the unreached, because if you are catering to people in the remote areas, then all these facilities of internship, apprenticeship and research and vocational and skill training, so it will be restrictive for people who live in remote areas. So that will be a slight deviation from the basic objective of ODL institution, where they intend to reach the unreached. And of course, last but not the least is that when you are handling such large numbers, large quantities, then what methodologies you will adopt as an institution to maintain the quality, particularly when it comes to incorporating these new components of undergraduate programs. So these are the issues I think which ODL institutions and policymakers in ODL institutions have to think of seriously, so that their undergraduate program is no way inferior and it is at par with the best of the higher education institution in conventional face-to-face mode. So now coming to the next issue, which is multiple entry and exit. In that context, I will again refer to a document from UGC. It's available on UGC website. You can refer to it. It is called National Higher Education Qualification Framework. Of late, there had been a concern at the policy level that we have to benchmark our different higher education programs, whether it is in the area of vocational training or in the area of skill training. And the culmination of all this has come into the form of a document, which is, of course, in UGC website you will find that it is a draft document, but it's a good document and the final document would not be very much different. So you can refer to this. Now NEP says, I mentioned in passing, that the time a student puts in with you as undergraduate, whether it is 1 year, which is 2 semesters, or 2 years, which is 4 semesters, so should not, and for one reason or the other he or she wants to discontinue and leave, then it is necessary that it is desirable that we give them some certification. So this is about exiting system. The NEP has says that after 1 year of study in chosen discipline, you give the person a certificate, and the courses he or she has completed in the first 2 semesters, that is 1 year, has to be at the level of 5 in this NHEQF document. They have labeled different courses, and every level, if a course is to be pitched at, let's say, level 5, then they have listed in very great detail that what should be the learning outcome for this course, what should be the assessment methodology and things like that. So after 1 year, that level 5 courses, if they have completed, including certain component of vocational and professional areas, then only you can give them a certificate after 1 year. And this certificate will enable the learner for 2 things. One is that he or she can come back to you after a lapse of, let's say, 1 or 2 years, then he or she will straightway join second year. And second is that he or she can go to any other university also and tell them that I have done this certificate, so give me admission to the second year of your undergraduate program. So that will be the freedom to students with this scheme when it is implemented in our higher education system. Same holds true for after completion of 2 years, he or she will be given diploma, and the courses have to be in tune with what is expected in this document at level 6 courses. And after completion of 3 years, the student will get a bachelor's degree, and the levels have to be commensurate with the level 7 courses of this document, National Higher Education Qualification Framework. And 4 years bachelors will have 2 streams, and they both are to have level 8 courses. One can go towards course based honors degree, and another can go towards research based 4-year degree. So all these both the streams in the 4th year, one will lead to honors degree, another will lead to a bachelor's degree with research. And all the courses in the fourth year has to be at the level 8 of this document I am referring to. So now this multiple entry exit essentially recognizes the fact that effort a student has made must be awarded, that is one. Second is that if he or she comes back to the higher education institution, then his or her prior learning and certification is given due recognition, so that he or she can complete his undergraduate program in the least possible time. So that is another aspect, and for this to happen, we need to have a some kind of a framework for a structure of 4-year undergraduate program, which is adopted by all higher education institutions, universities and colleges. Then only this mobility will work. So in that context, it is necessary, and I am very sure that the regulator must be thinking on those lines. They are working on it. Some kind of a broad framework for a 4-year undergraduate program is likely to come very soon, and accordingly that will give a lot of freedom within, and accordingly universities can design their 4-year undergraduate program. So I think with that I have given you some idea that how this holistic and multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary undergraduate program can be implemented, executed by thinking on these issues which I have highlighted in today's lecture. Thank you.